This is my character Astra. This is also my character Astra. What happened here? That is a very loaded question, but I shall try my best to explain this to you. Hi, I'm Inky, and I draw OC stuff, basically. I'm kind of obsessed with it. I've been participating in Artfight, the OC art trading game thingy, for 8 years. And every week, I finish a reference sheet for one of my characters, and I tell you about them. As I was saying, this is my character Astra. Astra's ordeal is extremely lore and context dependent, which makes her a little tricky to talk about, so I'm going to start by laying down some foundations. First thing of note, Astra is very temporally separate from the vast majority of my other characters. What does that mean? That means that Astra is, much like Arana from last week, 1,000 years before everything else, if not more. Second, Blue Astra over here is a nomad. That is the name of a homebrew subspecies of tiefling that my DM made. I love them. Yes, it's the same one that Enfer from this video is. And they function a little differently from other tieflings. They have a different origin point, which is what I shall be talking about today, because you can probably infer based on the fact that there's Elf Astra and Tiefling Astra that something happened to change that. I don't know how many of you guys predate my current video making exploits, but if you remember in 2024, before I made voiceovers, I made this speed paint for this piece. Yeah. I finally get to tell you what Aedel means. Aedel is, or at least was, a city, and Astra was from Aedel. I've been playing really coy and mysterious about it because nobody in universe knows about the existence of the city of Aedel. Not even the people that lived in it. We will get to that soon. For now, the year is minus 2000 or something, and the city of Aedel is a very advanced city. Possibly one of the most advanced the world has ever seen. It is in its majority inhabited by elves, and the thing that makes them special, besides their very advanced knowledge, advanced enough to know the stars better than anybody in the present day setting, is that they have the Matrix. The Matrix is a device of unknown origin to them, which they figured out can store the souls of people. So in Aedel, when somebody dies, it is customary to put their soul into the Matrix, so that one day, when they figure out how to put souls in bodies, they can be born again. Young Astra, aged 20, very young for an elf, is a magical engineer. She specializes in the care of magical items. Specifically, she's one of the people that oversees the correct functioning and maintenance of the Matrix. She is also, as a side thing, working on how to figure out how to make artificial bodies to insert the souls of the Matrix into someday. She's not extremely far along, but she's an elf, she lives to 500, she's got hundreds of years to figure this out, and if not her, she will pass on her notes to somebody else, be put into the Matrix, and somebody else will eventually figure it out. The Aedelians have a lot of time. Or do they? That's when the events of the one-shot that I played Astra in come along and absolutely ruin her life and the entirety of Aedel's lives, actually. You see, Astra's design here, the elven one, is her prequel design from before she's ever played. I've wanted to make her look really pretty and very youthful. She's got good looks, which are meant to contrast what eventually will happen to her, and she's got the big doe eyes, she's got bows everywhere, she likes looking nice, and she is adorned in sterile white because she's a researcher, but also red because that's the color of the Matrix, and they kind of worship that. Back to the story at hand, where everything is going terribly. It all started with the Matrix. Unbeknownst to the people of Aedel, the sacred artifact that they are worshipping, and they are putting all their souls into, is actually an infernal machine. Very literally. It was made by the Archdevil of Cania. He made it. Mephistopheles of Cania made that. And he sent it down to Aedel so that they would all put their souls in there, and he would eventually amass a great power from there. In this endeavor, he decides to team up with the White Witch from last week's video. Yes, that banished archfey that likes messing with people and turning them into piles of flesh and doing other messed up things. She has some devilishly delightful ideas to add to Mephistopheles' plan, and so the two of them work together. It is at some point during this collaboration between the two that the Matrix is rigged to the White Witch. I don't know exactly how, I don't know if this was her decision or if they both decided to join in for it, but she is now bound to it. When a duo made of an elven sword fighter and a Firbolg warlock kill the White Witch, it goes, it activates. And that, my friends, is the end of Aedel. This is not when Aedel is forgotten, merely when Aedel ends. Now, perhaps, is a good time to return to Astra in Aedel. The details of what Astra was doing don't particularly matter. They will be forgotten to history very soon. But she was going about her life as usual when it happened. Everything started to hurt right after a big, bright, red flash of light. And something changed. Now, in the universe of D&D, and this includes my setting, one of the ways tieflings can happen is when somebody makes a contract with the devil. Not always, of course, but that is one of the things they can bargain with. The entirety of Aedel was now in a contract with Mephistopheles. They just didn't really know it. They were using his machine, and this was the price he was asking for. They all lost color in their eye and in their hair, and they turned frosty blue, and their fingertips became long, and they grew tails and horns. Painful, because it happened all at once, to boot. Their teeth became sharp, and their noses became upturned. They looked like devils. I can tell you they were tieflings, but to a bunch of northern elves that had never seen a tiefling before, they looked like devils. Astra got pretty lucky, all things considered, because she wasn't wearing a helmet or any type of rigid headwear. Her horns didn't pierce through or make her stuck. Her friend Aedel, who she was spending time with, did not get so lucky. Aedel is my friend's player character for this one shot, and they have a helmet stuck to their head because their horns grew inside it and now they can't pull it out. To make matters worse, a lot of the people in Aedel got sick. Really sick. Sick with a soulbound curse type of sick. Now if you want more soulbound curse stuff, this is the video. But, TLDR, a soulbound curse is a special kind of curse in our setting, which is, as the name would suggest, bound to the soul in a parasitic manner. What this essentially means is that you cannot remove such a curse. It's part of you, so things like remove curse might actually do more harm than good. Once again, Astra is lucky. Once again, Arendelle is not. Astra's not cursed. Arendelle is. What they don't know is that this curse will eventually obliterate not just the body, but also the soul of anybody afflicted. If you've watched my Norrin video, you might know about this one. It's a curse that twists the body, warps the skeleton, and eventually leaves nothing but the warped skeleton and a pile of goo. No soul. This curse was a beautiful addition that the White Witch suggested to Mephistopheles of Cania. That being said, what she neglected to tell him was that this curse obliterated the soul. She was actually double-crossing him. You see, the White Witch did not want the Lord of Cania to acquire that much power, so she put the curse in place. It would destroy a couple of the souls at least, many of them in fact, so he wouldn't grow as powerful. What does this all mean for our two people on the ground in Aedel? Well, they're both devils now, at least to their understanding, and one of them is essentially magically terminally ill, and the city has caved in. Aedel was a beautiful city in a valley, and the big magic earthquake that just changed everyone into blue people has also gone ahead and made it cave in. They're trapped. The ensuing one-shot was a high-stakes, low-level one-shot in which we had to find food, find water, group more people, see if we could figure out how to get out. Astra, being a magical engineer, instantly goes to check up on the Matrix. Astra figures out that the Matrix caused this. Astra has a crisis. Astra has many crises, in fact. She's blue, She might be dying, she's starving, she's thirsty, and the object of her worship and the entire city's backbone is now moot. It is on her trip to go see the Matrix that her and Aedel find a little boy hidden away in his room in the palace. They find the prince. The prince is also a tiefling now, and his parents are dead. Presumably got absolutely destroyed in that magical explosion. The two of them and the little princeling eventually managed to accrue a large enough number of survivors to be a force. They share resources and they try their best. Eventually, they wind up finding the one person in the city that hasn't actually become influenced by Mephistopheles. A man, an elven man, who remains elven because he is a champion of Tiamat and she has decided to protect him. He has the means to teleport everybody out of the city. And so they do. They leave the city. One shot ended. It's a long shot from here to the Nomads that I mentioned in the Enfer video, a far smaller, more secular, astral plane-based force. The people of Aedel never really recovered from this. A couple years passed, and yeah, they figured out more or less what had happened, and they didn't like the idea that their loved ones, their friends, their family who had passed away were all in the Matrix. Everybody who was left behind and died went into the Matrix. And they were being used as fodder for a devil lord. They didn't like that. So they decided that they needed to figure this out. To figure this out, admittedly, they would need time. And they didn't really belong in the hell. They were born of the material plane. They didn't really belong in the material plane. They were too hellishly influenced. So they moved to the astral plane. It was neither. It was for the things that go in between and don't belong. And time doesn't pass there, which gave them an eternity to figure this out. Just like they'd had when they were elven, but different. And just like they had when they had the Matrix, but different. Do you remember how I mentioned that nobody remembers Aedel anymore? Aedel seems weirdly present in this entire group of people. It's been a couple generations, but because of the astral plane, most of the original people are still there, so how could anybody forget? What if somebody made a wish? What if somebody wished Aedel away? It's a really long story, and it is perhaps a story best saved for another time, but somebody wished Aedel away. But he couldn't really wish Aedel away. That is a lot of reality to change. So, the overseer, the purveyor of wishes, the astral, you don't know who he is, but nobody does anyway. Whatever the case, the universe, perhaps, did not allow for Aedel to be erased. Instead, the next best thing, the universe allowed for the memory of Aedel to be erased. The Nomads forgot where they came from, and that is how they earned their name. They didn't belong in this plane or the other one, and they had now forgotten their home. But they still had a goal, which is what I talked about when I spoke of Enfer. They want the corpse of the goddess buried underneath the soil of the kingdom of Serol. Where does this leave Astra? This is about Astra, isn't it? Well, Astra could not cope. Astra was not happy with what happened. Astra had her life, her body, her form, her nature taken from her. Astra wouldn't ever really be the same person she was before. You can say she went mad. You can say she became a mad genius. You can say she became a genius and eccentric, or you can just say she's traumatized. It doesn't really matter which one of them it is, and maybe it's all of them at once. Whatever the case, she was not happy to just sit by and be stuck in this body. Not this one, not this cursed one. So, she continued her research. After all, one of the things she was looking at was how to move souls from the Matrix to a body. So, just do that. Just continue researching how to make artificial bodies. Instead of taking a soul from the Matrix and shoving it in there, shove your own soul in there. Making something capable of holding a soul was another matter entirely, of course. And so her purpose was twofold. On one hand, to develop something capable of holding a soul in the same way that a body can naturally do it. And on the other one, basically invent robotics in the setting. She made robots. After all, in the astral plane, she has infinite time. Astra is still out there, alive, in present time. One of the benefits of being a robot is that you're essentially immortal. If your body gets a little busted, just move your soul to the next one. It's alright. Astra is deeply afraid of pain. She's deeply afraid of thirst, of hunger, of the many things that happened to her that day in Aedel. So her bodies don't feel hunger. Her bodies need to recharge, but she doesn't feel exhaustion. She has designed them to not have pain receptors, or to give off any signals, really. Immortal, immune to hunger, immune to exhaustion, immune to pain, Astra just kind of lives, making new versions of herself. Not in the sense that she makes clones, just that she makes new iterations of her body to put her soul into. This one's gonna be blonde. This one's gonna be brunette. This one's going to have a different face. This one's going to be chrome. I heard that the Swordine have invented this material called rubber, and if you apply it on top of the mechanical elements, it almost looks like skin. That's where her character ends, really. She invented soul transfer, and every now and then she picks a couple apprentices and shows them how to do it, and she shows them how to upkeep some of the more fun, modern nomad tech. And maybe, just maybe, she calls them words of endearment in a language that barely anybody speaks anymore, from a place everybody has forgotten, but that she knows still means a lot to her. Okay, that's the end. That's the end of the story. If you hear sound, it is me fanning myself because it is absolutely boiling in this closet. It's summer in Spain and really hot. That was a more experimental way of doing these. I usually just ramble on end with my usual tone of voice, but here I decided to do something a little more cinematic and a little more narrator-y with my voice. Hopefully it goes over well. I think it makes it flow better if I try to tell it like I'm narrating a story, rather than just info dumping at you. But we'll see. I'm an artist. I draw stuff. My artfight page is always linked in the description. I link to every character. And I take art commissions if you want a chibi or a ref sheet or a regular drawing or even a painting. That's all. Goodbye. Have a nice week. Bye-bye. Bye.
Oh, thank God I can finally turn on the AC. Hell yeah.